One of the best inventions in the 21st century has been AI. I use it personally to improve the information that I put in my videos, things such as thumbnails, new ideas for my videos, everything ChatGPT can do, which is pretty much anything, has been helpful to me and millions of people, or maybe even billions of people around the world. But what if I told you that came at the cost of somebody having to watch their grandfather die in a car accident and then being forced to go back to work because they had to meet a quota? Or what if somebody had a family, a pregnant wife at home, and after training this AI for so long, they had to watch so much horrible stuff on the internet to train ChatGPT for you, or even to train Meta's AI program, that they lost their entire family due to deteriorating mental health? That is the cost of AI. And these people in Kenya, Kenyans in specific, are doing it for pennies on the dollar. They're doing it for unlivable wages. And this is exactly how the global South stays down. I'm going to tell you guys exactly how big tech companies are exploiting Kenyans and forcing them to degrade their mental health and work for long hours. And all this is being done so that you can get your answers done faster. I'm Austin Holleman. Make sure you like the video, subscribe. Today we're going to break down exactly that. Now let's talk about the most important part. What are some of the horrors that Kenyans have to endure whenever they are working on AI? Kenyans that work on AI safety are exposed to the darkest corners of the internet, including graphic content involving rape, child sex abuse, murder, suicide, and even torture, and anything else that you could think is horrible. Stuff that belongs in the deep web. Kenyans have to watch this all day and every day that work in these facilities. OpenAI contracted a firm in Nairobi to have workers label disturbing text excerpts so ChatGPT could learn what to avoid. Yes, Kenyans are one of the main people out here that train ChatGPT. They train AI. If you guys don't know, Nairobi is known as the Silicon Valley of the Savannah. And this is one of the things that comes with, this is one of the prices that they have to pay to earn that title. And some of these workers even read to 700 to 1,000 of these texts per day. Of course, because of this, they develop things like PTSD, nightmares, paranoia, and even emotional withdrawal. These are not rare cases. This is the daily work for hundreds of Kenyans behind the scenes of AI development. I'm going to tell you guys a story. Make sure you listen to this. One worker, which was Mofat Akini, was hired to moderate content for OpenAI, the owner of ChatGPT. And he began experiencing several mental changes. He became isolated, angry, and even paranoid. And his pregnant wife told him that he wasn't even the same man anymore after working for OpenAI. Eventually, she left him, and he said plainly, this job destroyed his entire family. So essentially, he went crazy, essentially, from what he had to see to train ChatGPT, and it cost him his entire family. And I'm going to tell you how much he got paid to do it. Stay to the end. Now, not just ChatGPT, but let's talk about Facebook's moderators. The people that are behind whenever you put something up that says, oh, this violates our policies. I'm going to tell you some things that they had to watch and things that they had to do and how they didn't have any help for that to pop up for you to not have to deal with those things. Meta, or also known as Facebook, has outsourced content moderation to Nairobi, where workers review videos of killings, abuse, and sexual violence. These workers are expected to process hundreds of flag posts daily with barely a minute to judge each post. There's no professional trauma counseling in most cases, just vague wellness check-ins. And these wellness check-ins are usually just coworkers that don't actually have a background in that field. Many develop anxiety, depression, and a sense of numbness toward violence, which can also breed more violence in the future. Some are forced to keep working even after breaking down emotionally. A slave. You know, whenever a slave breaks down of exhaustion and they're whipped to get back up, essentially it's the same thing. I'm going to give you guys another real story. A young Kenyan woman was working with a Facebook moderator when she came across a video of a fatal car accident. She immediately recognized the victim, and it was her own grandfather. Of course, rightfully so, she ran away from her desk crying. And here goes the even worse part. That day, the algorithm kept flagging posts, and she kept seeing her grandfather die repeatedly from different angles of the same car accident. Imagine that. She had no trauma support, nothing at all. Just a demand to keep reviewing more videos of her grandfather dying that day. Imagine what that does to somebody's head. Also, if you guys know any of these Kenyans, make sure you share this video with them so they can see that I created this video just out of whenever I learned about this topic. It was really saddening to hear. So make sure you guys share this with a Kenyan if you recognize any of these stories or names. Now, that being said, you might be wondering, well, how can big tech get away with it? Well, the same way how I made a video before about how governments use PMCs, private military contractors, to invade other countries and do things that the government wouldn't do with its own army. Big tech companies do the same thing with outsourcing agencies. Companies like OpenAI and Meta don't actually hire Kenyans directly. Firms like Sama, which is an outsourcing agency, acts as a legal shield, the same way as the PMC does. Sama and similar firms do all the hiring, managing, and firing, allowing big tech to deny any direct involvement when controversy arises. So essentially, if a Kenyan commits suicide after watching their grandfather die on video, they can't say, oh, well, this was Meta. No, it wasn't Meta. This was Sama that you were working for. It just so happened it was connected to Meta. So Sama is going to be the one that takes the liability and the blame for everything. Workers don't even know who the actual client is due to strict NDAs. Another form of colonization is what it sounds like. If labor violations happen, the outsourcing firm takes the hit, not the billion-dollar tech company. And these firms serve one purpose only: plausible deniability. For example, OpenAI paid Sama $12.50 per worker hour to label harmful content. But the Kenyan workers themselves, guess how much they only earn? $1.32 to a maximum of $2. So literally 10%. For the type of job that they have, I believe these people deserved at least 50% per hour. And the rest of the funds in between went to Sama as a markup. In comparison, a basic receptionist in Nairobi earns around, guess what? $1.50 per hour. So you are getting paid the same amount that somebody sits at the desk to sit here and check people in to get them to sign a book. You're getting paid the same amount to watch people be raped and killed, and even possibly your own family members. Imagine that. Now, you may be wondering, what does the government in Kenya do about it? I'm not going to touch on this too much because I live in Kenya, but I'll keep it vague. Kenya's government actively promotes the outsourcing as a tech success story, and it praises companies like Sama and Teleperformance, and it claims that it's building a Silicon Savannah, but the human costs of this AI gold rush are usually not discussed. There are no specific labor protections for AI workers, moderators, and data annotators because this is a new industry. And just like in the United States, when industrialization was happening and kids were getting their hands chopped off by machines, there was no legal protection for them because it was new. Industrialization was new and kids working in that field was new. With time, laws will be created, but unfortunately, it has not happened yet. And of course, workers would try to unionize or resist these big companies, but they were fired or blocked from doing so. And then only after those lawsuits would the courts intervene. Luckily, a petition was filed in 2023 to regulate harmful AI work, but we have yet to see any results from it, so it's still in continuation. Another story of this is after OpenAI ended its Kenyan project, which it doesn't not do anymore, 51 workers were laid off without severance or support, and Sama just walked away. The workers were left traumatized, broken, forgotten, and pretty much had no legal support to help them. So this is not limited to Kenya. This also happens in India, the Philippines, Indonesia, places like that where call centers are common or tech outsourcing is common. Usually countries from the global south experience this the most. You're not going to really see this anywhere in Europe. In the Philippines, moderators for YouTube and TikTok report depression, PTSD, and suicide risk. And in India, workers label AI data sets for cents on a dollar, often through gig platforms with no benefits. All these countries are targeted because of their English fluency, along with their cheap labor and weak legal protection. Meanwhile, the big tech saves billions of dollars by avoiding hiring Americans. Even though they're American companies, they don't hire them because it would be too much and take too much out of their pockets because that's what's important. And they go to these other poor countries and they hire them for shit, essentially. So here's a story from an Indian perspective. An Indian content reviewer handling graphic TikTok clips was being paid $1.80 per hour to watch death and sexual violence. The same task in the US would cost a tech company at least $25 to $40 per hour, plus benefits. I forgot to mention that they don't get any benefits either. So there's no severance pay, there's no health benefits. Even though it degrades their mental health the most, that's not considered in their pay. And yes, AI is the future, but just like every progression that we've had in history has came with a cost. In the United States, you had the Industrial Revolution. That came with a cost of brutal cruelty and monopolies and all the stuff that happened through there. The medical advances we've had in history, some of those came from the Holocaust or the Tuskegee experiment or even other genocides around the world were medical research as well. If you guys don't know, Hitler, something did come good out of the Holocaust. It was done in a completely fucked up, horrible way, but they did test medical experiments on the Jews, and we still use those today. Fun fact, the Baylor Hospital was created by Nazis. If you don't know that, the Baylor Hospital in Texas was created by Nazis. Colonization had a great impact on society, but it also had a huge negative impact on society. And for some people that can't see the good, things like languages that connect through businesses. Like it's very easy for us to have 4 or 5 languages to speak around the world rather than having, 10,000, 50,000 languages that we got in the world. That would be impossible for us to live the life that we have today. And globalization is existent because of colonization. But that included slavery, that included loss of many cultures, etc. You guys know the entire story. Now AI is the digital colonization. So now you have the exploitations of people like Kenyans, Indians, and Filipinos to fund your convenience of using ChatGPT. And this is what keeps the global south down is low wages. Guys, I'm telling you, I live in Africa. I've been in Kenya for a year this month, and I can tell you the wages in African countries and even global south in general are not livable wages. That's exactly why these places are poor. But hey, these places are making great rapid growth. And the only way that they're going to make that growth is because the wages are low. I bet you if they paid them livable wages, the growth would slow down a lot. So let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Like the video, subscribe, leave a comment on what you thought and what you want to see next. If you guys enjoyed that, make sure you head to austonholleman.com to support by buying a digital product or booking a consultation. I'd love to speak with you guys. Again, that's austonholleman.com. I love you guys. I'll see you guys next time.